Good morning, afternoon, night, well, wherever you are in the world. I'm here to talk about the Sirui W-2204 tripod and K-30x Ballhead. One of the key pieces of equipment in most photographers' bags, whether it be landscape, travel, outdoor adventure, whatever, they all need a tripod. So when I hit up Sirui here a few months ago, I'd been using an aluminium MePhoto travel tripod, which for 80% of the time it was doing exactly what I needed. It was light, it was portable, but when it started to get a little bit windy or conditions were a little bit so-so, it just wasn't holding up to what I needed. So I started looking around online and it seemed that everyone was using this brand called Sirui. I was like, Sirui? Well, let's check it out. It turns out that one of their range of tripods in the W series is water and dust proof, and that was a massive key point for me, because having to undo and clean out all of the sections of a tripod after using it in salt water, sand, wherever it may be, was absolute pain in the ass. And they had this tripod called the W-2204, which I ended up getting sent over one here with the K-30x Ballhead. It's a carbon fibre tripod and it's water and dust proof, so I was jumping at the bit to try it out. So some of the key features of the tripod, which are listed here, that it's got an integrated monopod. It's got a reversible 1/4 inch and 3/8 inch screw for the head, so you can mount different heads and different cameras on there. It's got a lock-in screw for the head. It's got 2 cold weather grips. It's got 3 rubber feet. It's got a hanging hook, and yeah, the legs can also be reversed 180 degrees, like so. Do a little dance. So the tripod itself ships in a sturdy cardboard box, which is just something I just threw away because I don't need it and I just wanted the tripod. And it also comes inside this lovely bag here, black Sirui bag. You can see it's padded. It's got 2 pockets, one here and one here. 2 handles and a carry strap, which I never used to actually use a bag before carrying a tripod, but I do now because I throw my bag around and I scratch it all the time, so why not use one? Inside as well, it comes with 3 rubber feet. It also comes with 3 spikes which you can use. It comes with a second mounting plate here. It also comes with a wrist strap as well. I don't know, I would never use a wrist strap. I don't really know anyone else that has as well, but it comes with one if you want one. Some of the key specifications of the tripod itself is that obviously it's carbon fibre, so it's 1.7 kilos by itself, which is not too bad in terms of weight. It's certainly no ultralight travel tripod, but it's pretty good. The thing has a maximum load capacity of 18 kilos, so that is enormous. I shoot micro 4/3 predominantly. I've got a full frame camera. None of those come anywhere near 18 kilos. I don't know what would. You could put a small child on this. I haven't tried it, but you could try that and see if it buckles. So the other things were that it extends to 178 centimeters. Now that is huge. The monopod itself extends to 177 centimeters. That's way above my height. So as a small person, you probably don't need all of that height, but it's there if you need it. Just means that it's super sturdy because I can keep it lower. Also, it has a minimum height of 52 centimeters, like so. So whilst it's not exactly the smallest tripod on the market, it would actually fit into your carry-on if you were pretty thrifty. I will probably leave it in my checked in luggage just to save some weight in case it got checked. But yeah, it's not too bad. Housekeeping out of the way, this tripod, my first impressions are it's brilliant, okay? It's, dare I say it, it's sexy. It looks sexy, it feels sexy, and it even makes you feel sexy. Aside from that though, you can just tell it's well built. You can see why lots and lots of photographers, particularly in Australia, are using it. Like you look on Instagram, people are tagging them everywhere. All the great landscape photographers seem to be using it. And I guess one of the key selling points is for its waterproof and dustproofness, which there's a couple of other tripods on the market, but nothing seems to have a package similar to this one. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to actually take it out into the field, see what it acted like, push it to its limits, probably do some things to it that it probably shouldn't have done to it, and see how it fared up. So as you can see from the video, the tripod was put to the test. We put it into salt water, which, as you know, you need to rinse off after because salt can destroy everything. Sand is another thing that gets in everything, in your bum crack, gets in tripods, and it causes destruction. Actually, the tripod features these little things inside the leg, so if you unscrew it all away and pull it out, it has one of these little shims that goes around the top of the leg, and that's the seal to stop the water and dust from getting into the leg. As you can see in the video, we threw a fair bit of sand on there and open and close the leg just to see what it would do, to see if it would actually completely block it out. Turns out, do not do that. That was a test. Do not do that because sand does get in there. You can really work it in there, and it's an absolute pain in the ass for me to clean out. It took me an hour to wash everything out. Still got sand in there, but, I say but, it is not designed to do that. It will be waterproof, will be dustproof if you use it properly. So what I found is if you are going to put it in the water, just rinse it off even with some salt water, or ultimately you want to rinse it off with fresh water. But put it in, use it in the sand, whatever, but don't work sand into it. Definitely you want to go through and rinse it out with fresh water afterwards. If you do need to close it when there's a little bit of sand on there, just wipe it off as much as you can. But it does, those shims do a really good job of keeping the dust and sand and water out when used appropriately. The tripod is only waterproof up until the cold weather grip. Okay, I asked Sirui about it because I actually wanted to take it underwater and see how it would go, but it is only waterproof up until about the cold weather grip. So if you're going to submerge it completely, do know that the water will get obviously into the ball head, and water could work its way into the center staff or where the monopod goes in. So push it underwater, that's fine, but only take it up to here. So I didn't actually test that out. That one I'll leave up to you. I want to talk a little bit more about the K-30x Ballhead. Okay, Sirui mentioned that it's CNC machine milled aluminium. It feels super smooth to use. Panning, all the rotating, all of the knobs feel really, really smooth. It's almost too smooth. It's weird. It's yeah, a beautiful thing to use. To test it out properly, you really kind of need to see a heavy camera on there and just see, does it tilt? Is there a little bit of play in there? So I tried it with two cameras. I shoot, as I said, micro four thirds. I've got one of my cameras here, which is the EM1 Mark II, and I've got the 300mm prime on there. So all up, this, even with the battery grip that I don't have on there now, is 2 kilograms. I tested it out shooting the other night. Just for shits and giggles, I mounted it from the base plate of the camera and was using it, and as I was tightening it up, there was a tiny little bit of movement it took me to kind of adjust. I could tighten it, but there was a tiny bit of play in it. I did end up getting there. It was a little bit tricky. As soon as I mounted it onto the lens though, as it should have been mounted to even it out, it was fine. Well done, Sirui. I then tested it on my 70-200 D750 with the battery grip, all up 2.8 kilos, on top of the tripod and ball head, mounting it like so. As you can see, we've got the non-slip plate, which we can roll in there. Once I loosen it off, Matthew, silly. And here, let's have a look. Now that is not loose, sorry, that is not tight. So let's tighten it up a little bit. But then if I accidentally untighten it, the camera is actually locked in there. There's still play, but because of that locking mechanism, the camera actually won't slip out. So when it's in portrait mode, like so, the camera can't fall out. And that is a really good feature, because if you're rushing around like me sometimes or you undo the wrong knob and it slips out, that is a very expensive piece of gear that falls on the ground. However, with this locking mechanism, no issue whatsoever. You can see here the little button. All it is to take it out is you press that button, slides it out, and Bob's your uncle. One of the other features of the tripod is this thumb locking screw. Now, for people who don't really know how to calibrate your tripod, basically on some other tripods you've got three knobs. You've got the big knob to adjust the ball head, you've got your panning knob here which locks it so it can't pan or rotate. So we've got this cool little thumb screw here. If you can just see here. So the thumb screw's got, it's like a bit knurled out there, so it adds a little bit more grip. So basically what you want to do is you grab your camera and you put it in here, like so. And once you've got your camera here, as you can see, it flops around like a wet blanket. Not ideal, because if you unscrew it, you don't want your camera to flop away. So what you have to do with Sirui's one is you tighten this, the main knob, after you've made sure that this thumb screw is nice and loose. So you find your setting where you can actually move the camera around quite easily, nice and smoothly, like so, and it doesn't fall. Okay, so what you do then is you turn your thumb screw in all the way, and now look, I can still move this, readjust, I can tighten it all the way, and there's absolutely no movement. So really good. Having the screw inside the big knob eliminates some real estate on the outside of the tripod. That's one extra knob you don't have to worry about things getting hooked on. What I didn't like as much is, well, it's just me being a little bit of a baby, my soft little teacher's hands. The screw, I found if I was adjusting it a fair bit, was actually just tearing up my thumb. It was a little bit tricky to use with gloves on in cold weather. Some people may not ever need to adjust it, but if I'm changing lenses from a large telephoto to a smaller lens or whatever, I might want to have the ball head move around a little bit more. That means you need to keep adjusting the thumb screw. It's a tiny little caveat, it doesn't really matter. As I said, I'm just being a baby, but overall, great little idea, because it's less stuff on the outside of the tripod itself. So, thumbs up again, Sirui. There's tons of different types of leg locking mechanisms on tripods, anywhere from twist ring locks, they've got pull kind of tab ones. They're all different, they all serve their purpose. Some people like them more than others. The Sirui, it's got these cool little twist locking mechanisms, but they're a little bit different. They feel really smooth, they've got a rubber grip on them, which is good in cold weather when they're wet whatsoever. So if it's tight, obviously it's not going to move. You can turn this a quarter of a turn, so there's a little bit of a play, but the tripod leg still doesn't come out, which is good. and it says in here, half turn to unlock and lock. So I turn it another quarter and the leg will slide out like so. However, there's no quarter turn like there was going the other way. It actually just locks all the way and then it's stuck. And then you can do the quarter again, still not going to move, and then you can lock it. I like how it is. It's almost like a bit of a safety mechanism. So if you have tightened and it does come undone a little bit, they're still in that quarter turn, it's not going to move. So it's a really cool little feature. Now a lot of tripods these days have an integrated monopod function. Some are better than others. Tripod comes with a second mounting plate, which you can just keep in your bag if you want, which attaches to the monopod, which I'll show you in a minute. If you don't want to carry that extra plate around, that's fine. You can use the one that's here. So if you're packing light, you're in an event and God, I need that monopod, you've got it all here already. So you see on this leg here, and with one of the cold weather grips, you've got one of the rubber nuts here. So if I unscrew it like so, you can see here the tripod's now two-legged, and we've got a monopod here. Okay, so just a few other kinds of ways you can use your monopod that I saw someone out in the mountains doing the other day. They can use it like a walking stick. And I also saw this weird person up in the mountains doing this weird thing. I don't know what he was doing. He was hunting or something. So now what we need to do is we need to unscrew our ball head. So we unscrew it off here, like so. This was a little tricky at first. If you're like me, or any other male, we don't like reading the instructions, we like to work it out for ourselves. It took me a little bit to figure out, but I did manage. So we unscrewed the monopod, the ball head, and take off our mounting plate. Okay, that does, however, leave the ball head by itself. Okay, so you can put it in your bag or whatever. The tripod ends up looking like this. You can also put that in your bag, and then you have the mounting plate and the tripod, the monopod leg. So what I had to figure out is you put it here, and then you also have to screw the rubber knob up, and from there we can tighten it like so. Once again, if you want it, when you want to put your tripod back together, unscrew the mounting plate. The leg can go back on the tripod, like so. Tighten that back up, perfect. Now this is the tricky part that I had a little bit of trouble figuring out, but you need to back it off a little bit. Put our mounting plate in, and that way there's enough screw here to screw into this. Then you turn the tripod, so turn the ball head and then tighten the lock, and it's all back together. As I said, that took a little bit of figuring out, a bit of trial and error. All in all, would I recommend getting the W-2204 tripod and the K-30x Ballhead? Definitely. If you're after a tripod that is solid, well built, I mean like seriously well built, carbon fibre, waterproof, dustproof, all of those kind of things, bomb proof, anything proof you can throw at it, then get this tripod. Yes, it is not the smallest tripod in the world. No, it is not the lightest. 2.25 kilos with the K-30x Ballhead. Not the lightest, but for 90% of the work that I do around Australia, where I've got a car or I'm doing an overnight hike, I can sacrifice something else for the weight because I want something sturdy. I need something that I know will perform in the conditions that I will put it through. I'm going to Europe at the end of the year for 5 weeks. I probably won't be taking this baby with me because it is just that little bit too big to have in a backpack and lug around Europe. I'll be taking the Sirui A-1205 tripod. This little baby with the Y11 ball head on there, 1.3 kilos. Look how little it is. Almost the size of my head, almost. So yeah, this baby is going to be with me for that because ultralight, I can sacrifice a little bit there. I don't want to pay the fees on the plane because I'm stingy. So for everything else though, W-2204, I definitely recommend, or you should go into a Sirui dealership, maybe have a talk to someone else who has one. Please hit me up on my socials if you want to ask any more questions about it. I'm sure you'll find someone else out there who uses it and can vouch for it. There is a smaller ball head if you want. There's the K-30x if you think this is a bit overkill. It is for micro 4/3, but whatever, I just got it anyway. There's also a K-40x Ballhead, which is definitely overkill for my camera, even for a full frame camera, but it isn't too much more, so you can go for that. All up, the whole piece is pretty, yeah, it's not too expensive. You could pay a lot more for a Gitzo tripod. Are you getting more for your money? I don't know. Definitely for a carbon fibre tripod at $680 on the Sirui website, which often goes on sale. Have a look for yourself. I would definitely recommend this tripod for any landscape, outdoor travel kind of photography. It doesn't require multi-day hikes. So would I recommend it? Yes, I would. So go out there and have a look, and that's me out.